is for the win. This 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 is for the win. 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 This is for the win.
Welcome to the CPENN4THEWIN show. This is your host, Travis Penn. Welcome to episode number 2. I want to thank all my subscribers who hit the subscribe button. To those who are new to the show, I want you to go ahead and click the like button, share, subscribe, comment, select the notification bell, and select all so you won't miss future episodes. Now, to begin, today's episode, we're going to get into the NBA, of course, the association, and how that's heating up a little bit. We're also going to talk about the state of college football. We may not have a season. And we're also going to tap into the MLB a little bit. But first, we have some great breaking news as far as the NFL is concerned. Your Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs signed Travis Kelce to a new contract extension. It's worth 4 years, $57 million, and $28 million in guarantees. So Travis Kelce is going to be with the Kansas City Chiefs for 6 more years. What he has done since he's been in the NFL. He's the only tight end to ever record 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He's the fastest tight end to ever have 425 career catches and 5,500 receiving yards. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler. He's a 4-time All-Pro selection. And he has 1,031 more receiving yards than any other tight end since 2015. And that's the 5th most receiving yards of all receivers in general since 2015. So the dude is dominant. He's quite impressive. He's definitely the best tight end in football. And we also got, of course, Travis, he's dealing with, we dealt with the little personal off-season drama and everything, but he's a rich man now. He's focused on the Super Bowl, and he's got the new money now, so everybody's ready to go. And what's crazy is that the Chiefs had $171. I repeat that. They only had $171 in cap space. That's not even enough to pay a car payment right now. So, that's the crazy part about it. And just for them to turn that into Patrick Mahomes becoming the richest man in NFL history, and for them to extend and sign Chris Jones, and now we have Travis Kelce. So that's three key components the Chiefs have kept for years to come. And before that, they already extended Tyreek Hill for 3 more years. So this squad is ready to go, man. And is this the rumor? I'm not saying it's true or anything. It's a rumor, but the Honey Badger could be next. You never know. So the Chiefs, they're going to be locked in. They're going to be tough for years to come. So they're primed to win multiple Super Bowls here in the future. Now, the big debate that's been going on with Travis Kelce is, who's the best tight end in the league between him and George Kittle? Now, George Kittle himself, he became the highest paid tight end in the National Football League before the Travis Kelce signed his extension today. I believe he's worth $75 million over 5 years with Kittle's contract. Now, you've seen what these guys did last postseason. Travis Kelce outplayed Kittle by far. It wasn't even close. I know people say that Kittle is a better blocker than Travis Kelce. Okay, I'll give him that. And he is a little faster than Travis Kelce, but at the end of the day, Travis Kelce got everything else. He's a better route runner. I believe he's got better hands, and I think he impacts the game a little more, in my opinion. As you can see, last year, Kittle only had 8 receptions for 71 yards the entire postseason. Now, you're supposed to be the best tight end in football, like people say, like your NFC fans and all that. They say that you're the best tight end in football, but you hardly ever made an impact on the game. Like, the biggest impact you made was through the run game, blocking. I give him that. I give him a lot of credit in that area. So that helped make the 49ers dangerous in the run game. But Travis Kelce, he does it all. Like, he can block in the run game. I mean, pass protect if needed. And he can do it all on the field, man. He just knows how to get open better. And I think he's better. He's a better run after the catch type of guy. Travis Kelce, he had 19 receptions, 207 yards, and 4 touchdowns in his postseason. So he made a huge impact on the game. You have a question?
What do you think a healthy George Kittle throughout the year would do? What kind of threat you think he would pose to the Travis Kelce stats? Like, could he compare to Travis Kelce stats, or would he surpass him? Because he hasn't had a fully healthy season yet.
See, that's the thing. Like, that's the thing. That's kind of what's preventing Kittle from being the best tight end in the National Football League is his health. You know, they say the best ability is availability. So until Kittle kind of works on that a little bit, you can't really put him in that category. But Kittle is second. There's nothing wrong with being second. So I just think Kelce has a little bit more of an impact. And until you show up in a postseason like Travis Kelce did, I can't give it to George Kittle right now.
Is it too early to give him second, too?
I don't think so. Even with Gronk coming back, I mean, Gronk took a year off of football. So we don't know if Gronk's going to get back to that elite status that quick. So Gronk is kind of a mystery right now. Now, as far as George Kittle is concerned, he's a little younger than Travis Kelce, so he's got a few more years to catch up to where Kelce will eventually not hit his peak. He'll get a little past his prime all of a sudden. Because you got to remember, while Travis Kelce is at the top of his game right now, he is 30 years old. And once you hit them 30s, things may change a little bit. But I believe Travis Kelce, he does a good job taking care of his body and conditioning himself to where he can still be at the top of his game. And as far as the rest of the Chiefs go, they're just, like I said, they're in a prime position to do special things moving forward. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about the association. The NBA bubble is heating up. Well, it's not going to burst, people. Don't worry about that. The bubble's not going to burst. So it can contract all the heat. So now, with the association, the Suns are still the only undefeated team left in the bubble. They just won their final game of the season. They went on ahead and beat the Dallas Mavericks 128-102. Devin Booker continues to make his case for the bubble MVP. He had 27 points, 7 boards, and 5 assists, 11 of 20 shooting. Right now, before that game, he was currently averaging 31 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, and 6 assists on 50% shooting. Now, Devin Booker, he's been on this crazy tear. He's put up, in comparison, you can compare him with Kobe Bryant as far as what he's done in year 5. Devin Booker, he's 23. Kobe Bryant is 22 years old. Now, what Devin Booker is doing right now, he's averaging 27.7 boards, 4 assists on 48% shooting. Now, Kobe Bryant did at the age of 22 in his 5th year, he averaged 29 points, 5 boards, 6 assists on 46% shooting. Now, many people have compared Devin Booker's game to Kobe Bryant in a sense, and Devin Booker does have a little Kobe in his game. Devin Booker, ever since Kobe passed away, I remember Kobe during his final season out in LA, he told Devin Booker, actually he didn't tell, I don't know if he told him personally, but I remember he signed a pair of Kobe's Devin Booker and he wrote "Be Legendary" on them. And that has stuck with Devin Booker since Kobe's passing. And Devin Booker has wrote "Be Legendary" on every pair of Kobe's he's played in, and he's doing some legendary things right now. Now the Suns, they are waiting on two other teams that are contending for that 8th seed. The Memphis Grizzlies, they actually won their game against the Milwaukee Bucks to keep their season alive. Ja Morant and Jonas Valanciunas both ended up with triple doubles in their big time win today, as they defeated the Milwaukee Bucks 119-106. Now we wait for Memphis to see who they're going to play here as far as the 8th seed goes. If Portland, it all depends on what Portland does. If Portland wins, they'll be playing Portland. If Portland loses, they'll be playing Phoenix. Right now, we're going to talk about the other bubble MVP candidate. We talk about Damian Lillard. The Blazers are currently 5-2 in the bubble. Damian Lillard, he's been on a tear himself. He's currently averaging 37 points a game, 4 rebounds, 9 assists per game on 48% shooting and 41% from the three-point line. Now, what Damian Lillard has done is quite special. Damian Lillard, he has shown the fight, and he's shown that he's not willing to quit. He's one of the ultimate competitors in our game, and you got to give that man respect. Now, There's a thing after what Damian Lillard did the other night against the Dallas Mavericks when he put up 61. People was quickly jumping the gun and having the whole prisoner of the moment nonsense. People were saying that he's currently better than Steph Curry. And no, I do not agree with that whatsoever. Damian Lillard still has a way to go as far as him being better than Steph Curry. People seem to forget that Steph Curry impacted the game in so many ways. Like, he's been a big influence on the game. Like, we haven't seen an influence like him since probably Kobe Bryant, as far as being a big influence in the game. Now, it got to a point where you see more kids take 3-point shots in high school, and that stuff normally gets you benched. But if you got the range and you're that cold, I mean, you can get away with it. And there's many kids that go beyond shooting threes. You got a question?
Going back to your, you just compared, you said Damian Lillard possibly, you heard rumblings about Damian Lillard being better than Steph Curry, right?
Yeah.
I got a question for you. It's been talks in Kansas City on Facebook. Maybe you know this guy, maybe under SI4T Productions, but it's rumblings that he will pick Bradley Beal over Devin Booker. How do you feel about that? Who's better? Who would you pick up right now?
Oh, man, that's a tough question because Bradley Beal had an amazing year himself. I feel like Bradley Beal should be on an All-NBA team based on his performance. I mean, you just put aside the record. You know, the Wizards, they was dealing with injuries, so that's why they weren't contending this year. Right now, I may give the slight edge to Devin Booker, but it's really close. And of course, it's no disrespect to Bradley Beal, but I believe that Devin Booker has the slight edge right now. And Devin Booker, I think he's closer to doing things more special, slightly more special than Bradley Beal, but not to say Bradley Beal won't be able to do special things himself either. But it's really that close right now. They like neck and neck as far as the top shooting guards in the NBA. You know?
While you're on the topic of Facebook, I had a question a debate I've seen on Facebook, and I want you to take this into account. That think about these players at the best you've seen them. When I ask you this question, you get 10 healthy years to build around one of these players. Who you got, and who's the worst option? Michael Porter Jr., Ja Morant, Devin Booker, and yours truly, Trae Young.
Ooh, man, that's a really tough question. That's a great list, actually, because all four of those guys bring something special to the table. Michael Porter Jr., he was like one of the big mysteries of the draft because of his back injury and everything. But, I mean, people said that, like, if he's fully healthy and 100% and ready to go, he could be the top player in that draft class, or at least top 3. Now, Ja Morant, he's the leader of he's like a true leader on the court right now. You could say he's like a quarterback. You know, he gets guys in position, he leads them to the spot, and he encourages guys to get better. Now, you know, Ja's got many years to come as far as build Memphis up to the prominence to get Memphis back to where they was consistently making the playoffs and being a contender. And then you got Trae Young. Trae Young, he's a top talent. Trae Young, he's quite a weapon in the ways Damian Lillard and Steph Curry are. They can shoot from long range to where they can be a serious threat, and you have to double team them. And otherwise, if you give them like just a little bit of room past half court, they can pull up on you and make you pay. But Trae Young can also get guys involved and make guys better. It's just that with his situation right now, Atlanta, they're just super young. They're a bunch of 20-year-olds. The only veterans they had on the team was Vince Carter and Jeff Teague. All the rest of them was like 3 years or less in the league. So kind of like how Steph Curry went through in Golden State, those guys had to grow. Those guys had to grow together in order to get to that point. Atlanta, the next step with them is getting them solid veterans, like guys that are not too old, but guys that have been in the league long enough to where they made a strong impact in their roles to where they can help the young guys get better, and Atlanta can start winning games again. And before you know it, they'll be back in the playoff contention. And I already touched on Devin Booker a little bit as far as as far as his impact on the franchise in the future. Now, with him, I'm hearing rumors that even though Devin Booker is putting up this great audition and everything, he may not be a Phoenix Sun for long. And I'm hearing rumors that he could land on the top team out in the West. I'm not going to say who, because I can't say who. I got to wait till the season is probably over. But I did hear rumors that Devin Booker could be landing with a top contender in the West for next season. So be on the lookout for that.
So who you got and who's the worst, though, out of the four?
The worst? I'll say the worst one. Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr., he's finally getting some playing time. He's finally getting playing time. He's finally being able to showcase his talent. So Michael Porter Jr., he just needs a few more games under his belt as of right now. But, you know, things could change. You never know. He's got the prototype to where people have compared him to Kevin Durant. But I don't think he's on that level yet, because Kevin Durant, he got a little bit more tighter handle as far as being able to operate, create space, and get to the basket. So that's just how I see it.
So who you building around?
Who I'm building around, I'll probably have to say, I think I'll build around Trae Young. Trae Young just needs the pieces around him. That's just my opinion. Trae Young, once he gets the pieces around him, he'll be a future MVP candidate, in my opinion, moving forward. Now, back to the Damian Lillard, Steph Curry stuff. People seem to forget, before I get into that, I give credit to Dame in this area. I give credit to Damian Lillard in this aspect. He has improved in the last 3 years as far as improving his range and becoming a more efficient shooter in that area. So Damian Lillard's percentages have gone up each of the past 3 seasons as far as his efficiency. But people seem to forget that last year, you know, with Damian Lillard, despite his improvements in getting the Blazers to the Western Conference Finals, Damian got swept. Them guys got swept. Them boys got sent out of the building, man. And this was a series without Kevin Durant, by the way. So this is what Steph Curry did in that series. Steph Curry put up 146 points in those 4 games in that series. 146 points, which is 36.5 points per game. That's the record for the most points in a 4-game sweep in NBA history. Yes, that's more than Michael Jordan. Yes, that's more than Kobe Bryant. Steph Curry is still that guy. Steph Curry is just that impactful. Like Steph Curry, people forget that Steph Curry just puts his mark on the game, man. Like Steph just makes that big of a difference in impact. And here's the difference between Steph Curry and Damian Lillard. Steph can play off the ball, and he's a better defender, at least gives more effort, and he makes more contributions than scoring. And I believe he controls the pace of the game better than Damian Lillard, in my opinion. That's what Steph Curry has over Damian Lillard. That's what Damian Lillard has to add a little bit to his game moving forward. Damian Lillard, he seems like he has to have the ball in his hands a little more to make an impact on the game. And it kind of shows in a sense because the Portland Trail Blazers, while they're currently dangerous right now in this bubble format, their defense still needs some work. Their defense still gives up many baskets. And with the Warriors, you know, Steph Curry, he's out on the court. He's not the best defender, of course, but Steph at least gives effort out on the court. And Steph puts guys in position to where they can get better. You know, Draymond and Clay and people just forget that the Warriors, they basically had a year vacation. Like, unfortunately, they was dealing with injuries and everything. But they're gonna come back healthy and they're gonna be a tough out again. So people forget that Steph is still one of them guys in the league. And we also gotta address this with Damian Lillard. Another thing I've seen on Twitter is that Damian Lillard is the best Portland Trail Blazer of all time. I'm like, y'all just need to relax, okay? Y'all need to relax. People seem to forget what Bill Walton and Clyde Drexler built, man. Like, Damian Lillard, he still has to make an NBA Finals appearance. Now, as I mentioned previously, he went to the Western Conference Finals. That's a big accomplishment. Now, you got to go a step further now. You got to at least get to the NBA Finals. Skill-wise, you know, Dame has the range, you know, as I mentioned earlier with Steph and Trae, to create from beyond the 3-point line and to be dangerous in that area to where, like, so as soon as people play for a shot, you know, he can drive by and get a layup or distribute. But what Clyde and Bill have done, or what they did better than Dame, was they evolved their teammates a little more to where everybody could get better. And Bill Walton, what Bill Walton did as a Portland Trailblazer, he won a chip with two-time. He's not a two-time, but he won a chip. He won Finals MVP, became a two-time All-Star in Portland before the injuries kicked in. What Bill Walton did was he had an arsenal of moves in the post, mostly known for his spin move. His spin move was so effective. And he had a tough mid-range jumper and was a solid defender who knew how to position himself to give block shots and to contest shots well in general. He was basically a 17 and 13 guy with 3 blocks per game. It's just that Bill Walton, unfortunately, like I said earlier, his injuries derailed his career a little bit. But Bill Walton, he was a tough customer, man. He was one of the best big men in the league. And with Clyde Drexler, he was just smooth, athletic, gifted scorer, and he knew how to create in traffic. He could also play without the ball. And he knew how and when to cut to the basket. And we already know what Clyde Drexler did in Portland. He got Portland to 2 NBA Finals. You know, unfortunately, he lost to Isaiah Thomas, and he also lost to Michael Jordan. That's just tough break in that area. But at the same time, Clyde Drexler, when he was at Portland, he was usually an MVP candidate. And you just gotta put some respect on these guys' names and what they built. Now, if you had started like a team, like, you know, those $15 questions where like each player is set for $5, $4, $3, $2, and $1. You know, Dame is in that $5 category with Clyde and Bill Walton, and you decide to go with 2 $5 guys. You wouldn't pick Dame over, at least I wouldn't pick Dame over Clyde and Bill Walton. You know, and that's not disrespect to Dame at all. There's no disrespect to Damian Lillard at all whatsoever. What he's done in Portland is great, but he still has a little ways to go, in my opinion, before you can say he passed one of these guys that I just mentioned. So I just want to address that with Damian Lillard, and I hope Portland, they take care of business, they get in, and we're gonna be watching a fun playing game, and we'll see who gets in between Memphis and Portland, and we'll see if Portland does win, we'll see what Damian Lillard does as far as his playoff performances. We'll see if he has a little more magic than what he's brought in the playoffs so far. We're not gonna talk about these guys too much. You know, everybody's favorite team, basically, Los Angeles Lakers. And everybody's favorite player, LeBron James. We'll briefly touch on him a little bit. You know, they played the Kings today, and it was a meaningless game. They lost or whatever. But the night before, AD and LeBron, they needed those 40 minutes from those guys to beat the Nuggets bench. It came down to the last possession where Kyle Kuzma had to come in and busted a tray and got him that dub. And to me, that's not a good sign, because even though the Nuggets, they're deep, for the Lakers to need their stars to play the entire time against their bench. And by the way, the Nuggets bench scored all 34 of their points in the fourth quarter. The fact they needed AD and LeBron to be on that floor the entire time to get over the hump against the Nuggets to the very end, that's an alarming sign. That's a very alarming sign for a team that's number 1 seed in the West. But today, what I seen today, LeBron's athleticism is declining, man. Like you guys gotta realize, man. You guys have to realize that LeBron's body's breaking down. LeBron's not that guy. LeBron's not that guy, man. Like, he's not what you think he is, man. Like, yeah, he's an MVP candidate, but he's not. To me, he's only a top 10 player to me now. That's just how I see it, in my opinion. Just based on how he looks out there, man. You see here in this clip that he was open on a fast break, had his little cherry picking moment, and he went up for, it looks like he tried to dunk the ball, and he just came up short. And then the Lakers got the rebound back, and I couldn't remember who was throwing on the alley-oop here, but LeBron was trying to get an alley-oop, and he was coming up short. Like, he doesn't have any lift. And LeBron is still playing through a groin injury that he re-aggravated from the preseason game against the Mavericks. And how groin injuries work is this. Until you decide to either get surgery or rest on it for like half of the year, it's not going to get better. And LeBron right now is just playing through it because he basically has no choice at this moment. Like, to me, like I said, this final year, this is his final year to win a championship. If he don't get it done this year, then I think it's a wrap. But to me, LeBron, he's not going to get surgery anytime soon. He's going to keep trying to play through it and everything. And groins are like a rubber band. Like, if it stretches out too much, it's going to get weaker and weaker. And that's what we're seeing with LeBron James right now. Like, LeBron should have been at a point to where he started working on his game in the post. And it's not like he didn't work out with Hakeem Olajuwon before to try to get him to do that. But LeBron just couldn't quite grasp the full concept of the post game. And LeBron, he's just so used to playing with how he's played since AAU. Just be a guy that just runs pick and roll the big man, or does the 4 and out, have everybody on the perimeter while they clear out, and for him to drive to the basket and then kick out or going for a layup or dunk. So we got to keep an eye on the Lakers. The Lakers, they're going to win their first round matchup no matter who it is. But moving forward, I don't know. We just have to see what happens. All right. So I'm going to briefly talk about college football. College football right now, the entire season's in jeopardy right now. All the conferences have been canceled, but even with that, all the conferences might as well cancel moving forward if we're not going to have all the FBS teams. So this is what we have so far as who's not playing. So far, we got 54 out of them 130 FBS teams that's not going to play. The Big Ten and Pac-12, they decided to postpone their season. The Mid-America Conference, the MAC, the Mountain West, they also made a decision to cancel. And it looks like Conference USA is leading towards that way too. So we got a few teams there decide playing sports this fall as well. But there's other conferences and teams that are fighting against it right now. I know Nebraska, they're in the Big Ten. Even though the Big Ten canceled their season, Nebraska, they trying to find a way to play. But the Big Ten, they wagging their finger like, no, you don't. Otherwise, you're not going to be in this conference anymore. So that's what we have with Nebraska. And as far as the SEC is concerned, the SEC, they still trying to give it a go. Because the SEC, they're basically the largest powerhouse in college football. So right now, everybody is trying to decide and fight on whether to have like a season still with just a limited amount of teams or just cancel it altogether. And at this point, with the direction of the pandemic and with how the NCAA has handled things, you might as well scrap it because the NCAA, it's just disappointing with the NCAA. The NCAA, they continue to disappoint. Of course, they're against paying student athletes who bring in revenue for their school and their athletic programs. And it's just a big mess right now, the NCAA. The NCAA, they had months to prepare for something like this. They just sat on their hands and knees thinking this pandemic was going to go away pretty soon. And, there's many people who thought the pandemic was going to last long either, but we don't know anything. So right now, college football is in jeopardy. I just think, in my opinion, unfortunately, I know it's going to be tough for, the seniors that was prepared to get on the field one last time and, maybe boost their draft stock or just play their final year of competitive sports in general. And I just feel bad for those kids. And, moving forward, like, at least they still have an opportunity to get their education and everything. But I know they wanted to step out in that field one more time and give it a go. So we'll see what happens with the NCAA and what their final decision would be as far as the college football season. But in my opinion, you might as well just scrap the entire thing. Now, with that being said, as I touch back on the NFL a little bit, the NFL, they said if there wasn't going to be any college football this season in general, they'll step in and take over the Saturday slate of games too. So you would have Saturday games, Sunday games, along with Monday Night Football and Thursday Night Football. So the NFL would just pretty much take over everything. Because right now, the NFL, they're pretty much on schedule still as far as going ahead and moving forward the season. They already got testing together and everything. As far as I know, I haven't heard any new positive tests as far as the coronavirus is concerned. All right, we're going to get into the MLB. First, before we get into the action here, just got some breaking news. David Price of the Los Angeles Dodgers and LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers, they partnered together with a More Than a Vote campaign that LeBron and Clutch Sports have started. They're going to use Dodger Stadium as a polling place and a voting site in November. So, congratulations to those guys for making that happen. I know in the NBA, the State Farm Arena, the Atlanta Hawks, they agreed to make that arena a voting place for the polls and everything for November. So LeBron here's LeBron with the quote. I may still be new to LA, but it didn't take long for me to learn how special the relationship is between the Dodgers and the Lakers. We're all in this together. I'm really proud we are able to help the Dodgers become the first MLB stadium to open for voting. So shout out to LeBron. Shout out to David Price for making that happen.
Yes, sir.
We're going to touch on the current MLB action here. We got the Chicago Cubs. They currently have the best record in the National League at 12-3. And in the American League, you got the Oakland A's at 13-6. But speaking of the Oakland A's, the Houston Astros have been quite a hot topic this MLB season so far. As everyone knows, they got caught cheating, stealing signs from the opponents and everything. And the Astros, they haven't looked great so far this year, and teams have been targeting them here and there. But the suspensions have gotten ridiculous with the Houston Astros as far as the MLB trying to protect them and everything. Joe Kelly, not so long ago, he got suspended 8 games for throwing near Alex Bregman. And to me, that should more than an 8-game suspension. And he was just basically talking trash to the Astros as he walked back to the dugout. And the MLB felt like he should be sat down for a minute, and that's never been heard of. I haven't heard of anything like that in MLB, and I just felt like that was ridiculous. And Joe Kelly already came on a radio show earlier today and said that the Astros, they full of snitches and saying all kinds of stuff about the Astros because he felt like he shouldn't have got suspended that long, and I agree with him on that. And I feel like that's just part of the game now. Joe Kelly, what his intentions were, we don't know fully, but I know Joe Kelly, he did feel some type of way about the Astros before because he was on a former team that played against the Astros. I believe he was on the Red Sox, and they had a little history in that aspect too. So, and then in regards to the Oakland A's series that the Astros are in previously, Ramon Laureano, he charged the mound because he had a pitch thrown at, and it wasn't the only batter that the Astros were going after. Like the Astros, they put like 5 different batters on the Oakland A's, and Laureano, he just had enough, and he decided to charge the mound. And, the fight broke out between the 2 dugouts, and afterwards, he got suspended 6 games. Now, the MLB did get the hitting coach suspended for 20 games, which is quite remarkable. But I just feel like, I don't know, even with that, I feel like the MLB is trying to protect the Astros in some type of way, and I don't understand it. This team was already accused of cheating. This team, you guys haven't really gave them a harsh penalty for what they've done as far as them getting an advantage. And we know they recently won the World Series the year before, but there's just certain things that you can't let happen in the MLB. You can't let that happen in your sport. And I feel like the MLB is just protecting the Astros too much. And moving forward, the MLB just needs to be fair across the board as far as like their penalties and everything for just any wrongdoing, in my opinion. But with that being said, we'll see what happens down the line. The Astros get involved in more activity because that's coming. Like I feel like this is going to be an all-season type deal with the Houston Astros, and I feel like that's one of the reasons why I felt like they were going to win the AL West because the target was going to be on their backs all year, and a few guys on the team like Jose Altuve and George Springer, they've been struggling. They've been struggling to start the year, And the Astros, they're pretty much in the dogfight to try to scrape their way in the playoffs. So they have just under, if not just like over 40 games remaining to turn things around. But I just feel like the pressure is going to be too much for them to overcome. And it's going to be kind of a down year for the Astros. All right, I want to thank y'all for tuning in to episode 2 of CPENN for the Win show. I'm your host, Charles Penn. And like I said, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, select all for future episodes. Until the next one, I'm out.